Hey y'all, welcome back to Bed with Biscuits. I'm Dylan, and Kimberly's in the kitchen with me tonight. And you know, she just got in here and decided she was going to restart this hobby of hers, and I was like, why not make it part of the journey? So here we go. What we doing?
Well, I'm going to attempt to restart my sourdough. I did it for a long time, and honestly, I really want to restart it just to use it for discard recipes. If you know anything about sourdough, there's so much that you could do with it, but
And
you
it's
don't
all delicious.
you don't have to just make bread. That does take up quite a bit of time, which I don't really have much of anymore. But the discard recipes, which are all really, really good, doesn't require much effort. So, and it also is less effort to keep up with feeding it and everything. But I'll be honest, this was in the fridge for quite some time, longer than I would like to tell you. But I actually had several jars in the fridge, and based on everything that you look at to see if it's still okay to use or not, actually all of the discard was still okay to use. So sometimes if it's been in there a while, you haven't fed it, it can accumulate a layer of liquid on top, and it may look like it's not good because it's a dark brown or gray liquid, but that's actually just alcohol basically that you need to pour off. Some people stir it back in. I always just pour it off. But if you see any colors like orange, pink, red, vibrant colors basically on top, that you throw away.
It's nasty.
Do not use that.
Burnt.
But if it just has like a thin, slightly gray film on top, that's okay. Again, technically you can stir it back in. I feel a little bit safer just still getting off a good layer of the top, throwing it away, and then we'll have the rest of this. So it is a little bit thicker than discard sometimes is if you're using it on a regular basis, but the rest of this is perfectly fine. So we're just gonna get things going again. Okay, so we're gonna get started. So
What are you actually doing tonight, though? Like, what is the goal for this?
feeding my discard to reactivate it. So
It's coming alive.
Exactly. Because sourdough is a living thing, so which is why some people
In your
choose
fridge.
to name it.
It's
but
an animal in your fridge.
I don't think, did we name it? You probably named it. I don't remember.
That's been so long ago. I don't remember the name if I did name it, so we'll name it this time.
I think it had a name, but I don't remember, to be honest. So, but yeah, so after it's been in the fridge for so long, so you can keep occasionally feeding it in the fridge. If you're doing that, you're technically supposed to feed it like every 1 to 2 weeks if it's not being used, but that keeps it alive in the fridge. Like I said, I was not doing that, and it still has managed to stay alive. Another option you have that I said I was going to do this time is you can put a very thin amount on like parchment paper or something like that and actually pop it into the freezer and basically dry it, and then you can break it up into pieces, and that's how. So like I actually bought my sourdough originally from a shop on Etsy that was like supposedly like a 200-year-old sourdough, which I'll be honest, doesn't really matter by the time you get things going. I mean, I feel like they all taste the same. Either way, it makes good bread, good pastries, all the things. But one of the things I wanted to talk about too was the jars. So there's a lot to talk about in sourdough and the tools and all the things. And I mean, for the most part, you can probably make most of the things you have work.
For sure.
But things that are sort of a preference, you do have to have a scale. That's a make or break, not an option. Everything has to be weighed out in exact proportions.
In full disclosure, this is a $10 scale from Walmart, so it don't have to be fancy.
Yeah, it does not need to be fancy. It just needs to do the job. And then preferably to have a wide mouth jar. Not sure where my lid for this one got put. I think it's over there, but no, it's that one under the spatula.
Oh.
So yeah, I'll show you but I have a couple of these. So just something that fits flush on top. Preferably not something that screws on for when you're actually like feeding the sourdough and getting things going again. Your discard that you keep in the fridge, which you can show me this one, you can literally use anything to put extra discard that's just staying in the fridge. So this is literally
That's a spaghetti sauce jar.
Yeah, a Classico jar. That doesn't matter of like how it breathes, but for something that you're going to be feeding, you need something that just kind of sits flush on top. So this one either came from Home Goods, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, one of those kind of places. It's not any specific brand. If you want to get into the fancy sourdough jars, this is a Weck sourdough, or it's not sourdough jar, but it's a Weck jar.
How you spell that? We're in Georgia.
WECK, Weck. They're actually not expensive jars. There's a lot of places. I think I did end up ordering mine on Amazon. But I like even places like Crate and Barrel, which I know some of their other stuff can be pricey. It's not there. I saw a while ago.
We'll put a link down in the description of
give you a few
the
options.
jars for each little step.
But I do normally try to have at least one larger jar. So if I was going to make 2 to 3 loaves, like actually doing sourdough loaves, you'll need a larger jar because obviously you'll need more starter, and that requires more ingredients. And when it rises and it's very active, it'll come all the way up before it starts coming back down. So you don't want it to hit the lid or overflow out of the jar. So I like to have a large one. And then if I'm just trying to keep it alive, but I want to keep it on the counter and not in the fridge, then I'll just have the smaller ones for that. So that's what I'm doing tonight, just using one of the smaller jars.
So there'll be a monster on the counter instead of in the fridge? Or there'll be a monster in the fridge and on the counter?
What do you mean?
So like you're going to keep it alive in the fridge, but you're also going to keep one alive on the counter?
Well, the discard stays in the fridge. That's what discard is.
But then a little bit comes alive on the counter.
Right. Small amount comes alive on the counter.
Monsters everywhere.
If you're going to bake frequently, then you really are supposed to feed it every day. You could go every other day, but obviously that's what becomes...
How's watering them plants going?
Yeah, I was going to say, that's what becomes a little bit more effort. The discard in the fridge, though, no effort, and there's lots of really good recipes. So that's what we're going for. Because
there we go.
Low effort, still good food.
How do we get it started? How do we get the starter started?
So I'm going to put this in grams. There's lots of options on here, but we're going to go in grams. Mm-hmm. You have lots of options, again, of kind of the ratios. I mean, you can get deep with sourdough if you want to.
Let's keep it service for tonight.
I was going to say, if you want to just keep it simple, it's been a long time since I fed it. You don't want to stress it out. Again, it's alive. So just a 1-1-1 ratio, meaning equal amounts of sourdough discard, flour, and water. You do want your water to be preferably like room temp. So, somewhere between 75, 80 something degrees. Too hot can, again, stress the starter, kill it. Too cold, it just won't become active very quick. So it'd be a very slow process.
She's shocked.
So a little bit warmer. As far as flour that you feed it with, I prefer to use, I was going to say, I don't think this was organic, but I will use organic sometimes if I have it. But I prefer something that's unbleached, little as processed as possible. You can use a bread flour or an all-purpose. I actually have some whole wheat in there, and I was going to say technically whole wheat, from what I was reading, will get it back going again a lot quicker, but I'm just going to use one of these I already have out. They say that the bread flour is kind of the second to be able to get it back going a little bit quicker, so I think I am going to end up using this one tonight. Plus, it's already open.
Is that unbleached?
Yes.
Yeah. We try to get unbleached flour for just about everything. Can you get unbleached all-purpose? I know I've started getting unbleached self-rising flour, but just there's so much stuff in what we eat these days. Why not be a little selective where we can and cut some of that out?
Yeah.
And
I took a class the other night to learn how to make focaccia, and the teacher, who was an Italian trained chef, actually recommended King Arthur as one of the closest flours to what they use in Italy, as far as like not being heavily processed and enriched and all those things that they add to those flours. So again, I
think that's so interesting about the types of flour, the brands of flour being better for certain things. Like obviously we're making like a dense sourdough bread. You're not really wanting the light fluffiness like you are for a biscuit. So I just think that's really interesting to me. And then like if you're making a cake, that flour is super fine. I just think that's just so cool to me. We're food nerds, kind of, if you could tell by her. lengthy spiel about sourdough. We just find this stuff interesting. So I just thought that
Well,
was really cool.
also, apparently you will not find like practically any enriched flours in most other countries. Like she was specifically saying in Italy, it was a thing that was started to try to help impoverished communities. It was actually started in Georgia as far as making the flours enriched to combat diseases that would occur from poverty. So that's why they started adding the vitamins and things to it. But it's not necessary if you eat a healthy diet. All right, so we're going to get started feeding it. So I put...
It looks like a Frosty from Wendy's. I
It
bet it don't taste
actually,
like one.
it actually looks like the cement putty stuff
You
that
ruined
you
it.
like.
Frosty's much more appetizing. You want a spatula?
No.
Okay.
So that's already 45 grams. So I'm going to do 50. You can do equal parts, any amount. Just a little bit more. And I am going to need a clean spoon because obviously I don't want to stir that amount in. That's going to mess up my...
There's one in there.
You're correct. So, okay, so I'm going to hit tare, which takes it back to 0. If you've never used a scale, that's important to know. When you put your jar on, hit tare, that zeroes it out so that you can weigh individual ingredients. And then, let's see, I'm trying to remember.
She's a really good cook, but she also has a double major in biology and chemistry, so she's used a bunch of scales before.
Okay. I prefer to add the water next and kind of go ahead and get that mixed up. So again, equal parts. 51. It's okay. I do need another spoon. Do we not have? That's okay. I just
We
need
hadn't
something
unloaded the
mixed.
dishwasher yet.
I just knew that, like I said, that was going to be a thicker amount. All right. So now, like, all of that is completely dissolved in the water. That just makes it a little bit easier to mix when I add the flour. That was the reason I did that. Well, you can hang on. I might need that. All right. Again, zero it out. I hit tare. And do this slowly because 50 can add up quickly. And
You can always add 2, but you can't take it out. I've said that a bunch of times.
The water would have been a little bit easier to take out. This, not so much. Which, I mean, if you did add too much, you could always add a little bit more starter, a little bit more water. It's not the end of the world. And honestly, it'd probably be okay even if it was a little extra. Again, not the end of the world, but you just want it as close as possible. We're almost there. Just kidding. Okay. All right. There. Also, some people are really picky about what they use to even stir. I am not. Some people swear by only ever using wood utensils in their sourdough.
That's hard to clean.
But as long as you're using something that's stainless steel, that's not reactive with the sourdough. Again, I promise it's not as complicated as I make it sound. I just like to do a lot of research on stuff.
Oh my Lord. Like we were on a trip and we're trying to figure out where we're going to go eat.
We're trying to what?
We're trying to figure out where we're going to go eat. This one's over here doing 30 minutes of Google reviews on the restaurants. I'm like, can we just go somewhere, please?
I don't like wasting money or calories.
Well, praise the Lord.
All right, and if you will, get me a spatula now, though.
Oh.
Because I like to scrape down the sides. Otherwise, that will kind of just dry on, and it's a little bit kind of aggravating the next day or so. And I just come in from the top instead of the normal, because again, I want it. All right, and that's all there is to it. So leave this out on your counter. One of the reasons I'm also just now getting this back going, I thought about starting it during the winter, but I will tell you, if you keep a really cold house, that can be a little bit hard to get things going because, again, it can be finicky about temperatures. So
our heat does not go above 68.
There's special like sourdough warmers you can buy that you can put this in and it keeps at the perfect temperature all year long. Then you wouldn't have a problem with anything. Humidity sometimes can be a problem during the summer.
And we in the South.
I was gonna say, but I the first year I did it, I mean, I did it all summer and it was completely fine. I've never had an issue with that, but it can be hard sometimes during the winter because if it's not warm enough, it won't become active. But that's all there is to this part.
So I think what we're going to do is we'll do like a series, and we'll do like we in church these days. Just kidding. We'll do like a part 1, part 2, part 3, or whatever. So the next one will be like, we'll walk you through how to feed it and then all the good stuff. And then we'll do a big video of like making something with it. That's going to be great.
I will have to see how this reacts though, because it's probably going to take a few days for it to become pretty active. If you want to actually be able to monitor how active it becomes, and I probably will do this just because I want to know. Another reason I try to get it back down to even level, put a rubber band or something like that. You can tie a string, whatever. Rubber band's easiest to use. Put a rubber band, and then you can see how much it rises above the band, and that'll kind of let me know how active it is. Because when you're going to use it in like a bread recipe where it matters if it's an active starter, you want it to normally double, and you want to use it at that point. So that way you'll kind of know when it's doubled. But if I put it on there and see if it has any activity, and there'll be evidence by, even if it goes back down before I check it, you'll see where it stopped and then went back down. So that way you can see how active it is.
All right, and we will put links to the jars in the description below, and then we'll be back when we feed it, and then especially when we cook with it. So y'all stick around if you're interested in sourdough.